Hi, friends. Marko here from the Youth Cartel. Happy Holy Week. That seems like that we say Happy Easter. It should be Happy Holy Week too, I think, right? Um, this morning I was going through some old papers because I was getting rid of some stuff, and I came across some pictures that my kids drew when we used to always do a family vacation over spring break. And we had a spiritual practice where on one of the days we would tell the Easter story and we would all draw pictures from it. These are pretty cute. Here's one that my son Max drew when he was apparently very little crying person, and then another person. This says, I am sorry and I forgive you. But then I wrote at the bottom, this is Pilate saying he's sorry and Jesus forgiving him. Here's another impressive one from Max. He must have been just a little older when he did this sad picture of Jesus on the cross with lifelike nipples. And then this one, I was a little confused when I first saw it. This was a Riley drawing. And then I realized from these curtain rod holders up here, this is the temple curtain being torn asunder on Easter morning. Um, we had a little, I'm recording this on Monday afternoon, and we had an earthquake here in San Diego this morning. We don't have them very often. People think of Californians as having them all the time, but I have lived through some pretty big ones here. So I knew what was happening. It was 5.2, so it was a good sized one and not very far from here, only about a half hour away where it was centered. And I really felt it. I happened to be in my living room at the moment and everything started shaking. And I stood up, everything on my shelves was wobbling, and I was wondering, should I rush to something to hold it? How do I choose what to make sure stays safe? And then I panicked about getting too close to the bookshelves because they've got a lot of heavy stuff on them. And I stood there for maybe 10 seconds of shaking, thinking, what again am I supposed to do in the middle of an earthquake? And then it was literally only about an hour later that I started thinking about what I might share with you all. And I remembered the earthquake that takes place on Easter morning. It's not usually listed as an earthquake. Let me read it to you. This is from the Message, Matthew 28, verses 1 through 4. After the Sabbath, as the first light of the new week dawned, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to keep vigil at the tomb. Suddenly the earth reeled and rocked under their feet as God's angel came down from heaven, came right up to where they were standing. He rolled back the stone and then sat on it. Shafts of lightning blazed from him. His garments shimmered snow white. The guards at the tomb were scared to death. They were so frightened they couldn't move. Man, I'd like to see that, right? I mean, just let your imagination go on this one for a moment. You're standing in front of the tomb where your Savior and friend is buried, and the ground starts shaking, and an angel shows up in front of you. He walks over to the tomb, rolls back that huge stone, maybe even tips it over because he sits down on it, kind of like this rock is more useful as a chair than as a barrier. But you're looking at this being, and shafts of lightning are shooting off him, and he's wearing a bedazzled sparkle robe. I kind of wish God showed up visually like that for me on a regular basis. Except, while I would certainly get a big sense of awe from that, I've slowly been becoming aware of how much I like it that God shows up in much more subtle ways in my life. I say I'm becoming aware, like over the last few years, as I've ruminated on why God seems to prefer whispers over megaphones and watercolor over neon. And maybe I'd even add faith over clarity. Don't get me wrong, I love having clarity. Bring on the shafts of lightning. But I'm seeing how it's in my best interest to not have clarity very often, because then some tiny but important things are required of me, things that are very much in my best interest to develop. Paying attention and noticing, listening, taking baby steps toward whatever hint God's Spirit has set before me. This week and this Easter weekend, in the midst of all the craziness of the work you have to do, I hope you'll have an opportunity. I hope you'll choose to pay attention and notice. I hope you'll listen. I hope you'll take a baby step toward whatever hint God's Spirit sets before you. This is what the resurrection life mostly looks like, and it's good. I also hope you don't have an earthquake in the middle of your Easter service this Sunday. Or maybe I hope you do. Happy Easter, friends.